Hey guys, welcome back. I am going to make some New Year's Eve hummus. And this stuff is so easy to make. I can't believe how much the stores charge for it, like anything these days, but you can still buy a can of chickpeas at Aldi or Walmart for under $1. And the only other ingredients are a little minced onion, a little lemon juice, a little olive oil, and some spices, as well as tahini sauce. And you can make that yourself on the cheap as well. I made some back in November, a small batch, because we're a small family. And I used half of it back then to make a batch of hummus. And I put the other half in the freezer knowing I'd make some more down the road. So word up on that. And tahini sauce is basically just sesame seeds ground up in your food processor with some olive oil, and that's it. So no reason we should be paying $5 or $6 for a little tub of hummus when we can make it for less than $1.50 ourselves. And it tastes a lot better. So, and you know what's in there, right? I'm gonna give it a whirl. And the first thing you do is put your tahini sauce, which if you're following the recipe is about 1/4 cup. I happen to know this is 1/4 cup because I made 1/2 cup of it back in November and froze half of it. So you put that in, and then you add your lemon juice. This recipe calls for 1/4 cup, and by the way, I'll put the recipe up shortly. I like to start out with about a tablespoon because I don't like mine to taste too lemony. And you know, you're gonna do that to taste. I like mine more on the garlicky side. So you're gonna whip your tahini and your lemon juice so that it gets a little fluffy, if you will. And here we go. Okay, so now we're gonna add all of our other ingredients except for the chickpeas and whip that for about 30 seconds. The recipe calls for 1 small garlic clove, and I say that's not enough. I add the equivalent of about 3 garlic cloves just because I love garlic. It's good for you. I always add more than it calls for. 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm just gonna eyeball that. A 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, and I do probably right at about that. Are you guys also long experienced cooks that eyeball things, or do you measure everything? I prefer eyeballing most things unless it's something that really needs to be measured. All right, so that's it for now. And now I'm going to whip it a little more just to mix those ingredients, and then we'll add the chickpeas. I know you're thinking that is the tiniest food processor I've ever seen in my life, and it is small. It's about I don't know, maybe 3 cups, but it works really well. Actually better than a big food processor for making something like hummus, because you really want the chickpeas ground up finely, and I just found that the smaller one works better for this project. Not to say you can't make it in a big one, just my big one doesn't work as well as my small one apparently. All right, so then you're gonna scrape down the lid and the sides, and then we'll add our chickpeas. And the coarseness of your hummus versus the smoothness all comes down to your own personal preferences. I like mine smoother than coarse. Okay, so you can see I've ground up the chickpeas and it's really thick still. And rather than adding a lot more oil, I'm gonna add 2 to 3 tablespoons of water to thin that out a little bit, because I don't like to use too much oil in the actual hummus. The water works perfectly. So we're gonna give that a whirl now. So we've ground this up with the extra water, and I think it's still a little too thick, but right now I'm gonna taste it for the level of lemon that I put in and see if I wanna add a bit more of that. I'd say it has just the right amount of lemon. So I'm gonna add a little more water and give this another whirl until it's smooth and the consistency I like. Maybe another minute. All right, so that's pretty much the consistency I like. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's loose enough that it will fall off of a spoon if you shake it a little bit, but not thick like a pate. So I'm gonna go around the sides one more time, give it one more whirl just for the sake of being thorough, and we're gonna call that done. Okay, that looks just about perfect. Now, for the best part, the tasting part, right? I'm gonna put a little on the plate. I like a little paprika and a little cracked pepper. We'll see how this turned out. Oh yeah, I'd say that's real close to perfect. I recommend storing this in a glass bowl. It will keep in your fridge for a week to 10 days. And you serve it depending on your personal preferences. I like the paprika and the pepper. I also like to do roasted pine nuts on top, maybe some chopped herbs, whatever you like. I like it with hummus. It also tastes good on crackers. I like it with naan bread and crackers. And also, it's really fantastic, surprisingly good as a spread on sandwiches if you're trying to avoid mayonnaise. So give it a whirl. I really recommend it. It's good stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.